Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how to set up SQL availability groups. So for this demo I have created two virtual machines and the names of the virtual machines are db-v1 and v2. So these are the IP addresses of my virtual machine and I have installed SQL Server 2019 Standard Edition on both. So to set up SQL availability group, the first step is installing failover clustering. So let's begin. Let's start with the first VM, db VM1. I'm already logged in. So let's go to the server manager, add roles and features. This is my first VM, so I'm choosing VM1. Failover clustering is a feature. So let's click next, install it. It's installing on VM1. Meantime, let's initiate the same process on VM2 as well. This is VM2. This is a feature, failover clustering, add feature, next, install. So this is the first step. So once this is done, we need to be creating the cluster. We are going to add both the VMs in my cluster and then we will set up the quorum. So for quorum I'm going to use, we have different options. We can use a shared path or we can use a cloud witness. For this demo I'm going to use a storage account which is in Azure. This is the name and this is the key. So let's have a look. What's the status? This is installed and it's prompting for a restart. Let's click on close. Let's go ahead and click on restart. Going to the other VM. Let's click on close. Let's close SQL Studio. Restart. This is an Azure VM, so it should not take more than 20 seconds, 30 seconds to come back on. So let's check. Might take few seconds. All right. $199 and this is my second machine. Now let's look for cluster. So this is my console. So let's click on create cluster. Next, it's asking me to add the server names. So I'm going to click on advanced. I'm going to click on find now. In my AD I have only two VMs, so let's select both. I click on OK. Let's click on next. It's going to run some validation test. We click on next. Once again next. It's going to perform all the tests, which is also recommended. This takes about a minute or two. So IP ending with 199 is the first VM. And here validation test, it's not just performing on the first VM, it's performing on both the VMs. So when you create a cluster here, it actually creates an object in the AD, and it's going to reflect in my VM2 also. So let this complete. So we have some warnings, which is fine. If we had some critical errors, it would have been an issue. So cluster name, let's name it cluster. Today's date is 16th July, so maybe 167. 16th July, cluster 167. Let's click on next. Once again, next. So it's creating the cluster now, forming cluster 167. So this is my cluster which is created. cluster167.tushar.com, that's the name of my domain, and I can see two VMs there. When I see witness, it shows none. We are going to set up the witness in few moments from now. Meantime, let's go to the VM2. We are going to open failover clustering. Okay, so as we can see, cluster 167, it's already there. So now it's time to create the quorum. So right click on the cluster, more actions, configure cluster quorum. I'm clicking on next. So use default cluster is an option, default quorum configuration is an option. Then I can choose quorum witness. So let's choose this. I go next. I have some multiple options. This can be a network file share. This could be a disk. But for this demo, I'm going to choose cloud witness. So I click next. Storage account, I already have it ready, the details which I have created before. Okay, so this is done. Here it shows witness is cloud witness. So we are done with step 1. We are done with step 2, which is creating the cluster, adding both the VMs. And then we are done with step 3, which is configuring the quorum. Now let's go to the next step, which is enabling always on in SQL Configuration Manager. So we look for configuration, and under SQL Server Services we see SQL Server, and we have a tab always on availability group. We need to tick this mark, and before you tick this, ensure it is reflecting your cluster name here. If you try to enable this before creating a cluster, you might end up with issues. So make sure you create the cluster first. The cluster name should reflect here. So we have to tick this option. Let's apply. So it's expecting us to restart the service. That's fine. Let's click on OK. Let's go ahead and restart the server itself. Now the same setting, I need to go to Configuration Manager on VM2. So I can see it shows my cluster name. I select this. It wants me to restart the services, but let's just restart the server itself. It's a cloud machine, Azure VM, so it does not take more than 20 seconds. Restarting. Restart anyways. So we have performed the fourth step. Now the next step is creating the availability group. My first VM, let me log in once again. Just a quick check. This is my failover cluster. I can see my witness is cloud witness and I have both the nodes. Now let's open SQL Studio. Just a quick check on the feature if it's enabled. Yes. So configuration manager, I'm closing it now. So let's wait for SQL Studio to open up. Back to 199 first VM. My SQL Studio is open. So I'm connected to VM1. So under databases, I have this database named Tech Knowledge. So under this database, I have a table named person. So let's see what are the contents. Okay, so I have a small table which has two records. So after you have installed availability group, you are going to see availability group here. So let's click on this. Let's click on new availability group wizard. Let's click on next. It's asking me for availability group name. So let's name it AG. Okay, perhaps the same as cluster. Cluster was cluster 167. So AG, let's name it AG167. This is the user database. I'm going to replicate it across. So it wants me to add another VM. So VM1 was already there. VM2 is added now. So you may be having multiple databases, and out of all the databases, you can select. You might want to select only one or maybe just two databases out of all. You don't have to all. You don't have to add all of those. So automatic seeding, it's going to make a copy in the other server as well. So quick validation test, everything is success, and we have one warning. That's fine. Let's close it. So let's have a look at the database. I can see my database name. So cluster, when you are creating, you have to create only in one of the nodes, either one VM1 or VM2, and it automatically reflects in the other one. Same goes with availability group. You have to create it at one place. So now let's go to 20, my other VM 201. Let's have a look. Always availability. Okay, I can see it. So I can clearly see it. I'm connected to VM2 and it shows it's secondary. Now if I want, I can click on the connect button. We have created a cluster named cluster 167. I can choose that and I can connect with the common name. So here I am connected with the VM2 name, and here I am connected with the common name. So with the common name, when I have a look at my availability group, it shows this is my primary and this is my secondary. So when I try to access my database, it shows synchronized, but when I try to open it on DB2, which is secondary, it does not let me. It says not accessible. So in case of availability group, your active node will be accessible and the secondary you won't be able to access. So let me try accessing it from the cluster. Can I? No, it does not allow me. So let me connect specifically to VM1, which is the active node. Does it allow me to access it here? Indeed, it does. So now let's make some changes in the table here. So I already have 2 records. I'm going to add another record. Let's say 456 is the person ID. First name, you can maybe this time it's XY. Last name is Z. Uh, Address, let's take it as test 5. Let's take it as Mumbai. So this table is saved. Let's close it. Right click, one quick look. Select star from persons. Does it reflect? Yes, I see 3 of those. So now what I'm going to do is, this is my availability group. I can right click. I can click on show dashboard. And it shows the status of my availability group. So when I click on the availability group name, it allows me the option to fail over. So currently I am failing it over manually, but in case there is a disaster and one of your VM is crash or operating system crash or your VM shuts down, since we have chosen failover mode as automatic, the primary node will automatically change to secondary and secondary. So in this case VM1 is primary and we are manually failing it over to VM2. Next, finish. So here you are going to change, see the change. Let's close it. This is critical right now, but in a few seconds it's gonna go healthy. So let's expand this. It's already healthy. Let's have our dashboard look once again. Yes, it's healthy. So now my VM2 is primary, VM1 is secondary. So VM2, let's expand the database. Okay, so I see all the 3 records. So the changes I did on VM1, they're automatically replicated in the VM2. So this was in my today's demo on how to set up availability group. If you found this video useful, please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more such videos. If you have any questions or any feedback, please leave it in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching.